Emily lay in the hospital bed, the sterile scent of antiseptic filling her nostrils as she stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the small squares in a futile attempt to distract herself from the pain. Each breath felt like a struggle, a reminder of the illness that had taken hold of her life. She was frail, her once vibrant spirit dimmed by the relentless grip of her condition. The beeping of the machines around her was a constant reminder of her vulnerability, a sound that had become all too familiar over the past few months. At the door stood David, her husband, his expression a mix of concern and frustration. He was dressed in a tailored suit, the kind that spoke of success and ambition, but today it felt like a costume he wore to hide his true feelings. Emily could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he shifted his weight from one foot to the other, as if he were caught in a battle between duty and desire. She wanted to reach out to him, to tell him that everything would be okay, but the words felt stuck in her throat. "Emily," he finally said, his voice low and strained. "We need to talk." She turned her head slowly, the effort exhausting. "About what?" she asked, trying to keep her tone light, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. "About us," he replied, stepping further into the room. "About your treatment. About everything." Emily's heart sank. She had sensed this conversation coming, the way David had been distant lately, his visits shorter and filled with silence. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. David ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she had come to recognize as a sign of his frustration. I don't know how much longer I can do this. You're not getting better, and it's taking a toll on me." The words hit her like a physical blow. She had always known that her illness was hard on him, but hearing him say it out loud made it all too real. "David, I'm trying. I'm fighting every day," she pleaded, her eyes welling with tears. "I need you to be here with me." He looked away, his jaw tightening. "I know, but it's hard. I feel like I'm losing you, and I don't know how to handle it." Emily's heart raced as she processed his words. "You're not losing me. I'm right here," she insisted, desperation creeping into her voice. "I need you to believe that." David took a deep breath, his gaze finally meeting hers. "I want to believe it, but it's overwhelming. I have my job, my responsibilities. I can't keep putting everything on hold." The reality of his words settled heavily in the room. Emily felt a wave of despair wash over her. "So what are you saying? That you want to leave?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I just feel trapped. I didn't sign up for this." The silence that followed was deafening. Emily's heart shattered as she realized the truth. David was considering walking away from her, from their life together. "You can't just abandon me, David. I need you now more than ever," she cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. He stepped back, his expression hardening. "I can't be your caretaker. I'm not equipped for this. I didn't sign up for a life of hospitals and sickness." Emily felt a coldness seep into her bones. "So you're just going to leave me? Just like that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what else to do," he replied, his voice filled with frustration. "I can't keep pretending everything is okay when it's not." With that, he turned and walked out of the room, leaving Emily alone in the sterile silence. The door clicked shut behind him, and she felt the weight of his absence settle over her like a heavy blanket. She was alone, truly alone, and the realization crushed her spirit. Days turned into weeks, and Emily fought to regain her strength. Each day was a battle, but she was determined to prove David wrong. She surrounded herself with supportive friends and family who encouraged her to keep fighting. They visited her, bringing flowers and laughter, reminding her of the life she had before the illness took hold. But no matter how much love surrounded her, the emptiness left by David's absence was a constant ache in her heart. As she began to recover, Emily found solace in small victories. She started physical therapy, pushing herself to regain her strength. Each step felt monumental, a testament to her determination. She began to dream again, envisioning a future where she was healthy and whole. But the shadow of David's departure loomed over her, a reminder of the life she had lost. One afternoon, while sitting in the hospital garden, Emily met a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a nurse who had been assigned to her case, and she had a warmth that instantly put Emily at ease. They struck up a conversation, and Emily found herself opening up about her struggles and fears. "I feel like I've lost everything," Emily confessed, her voice trembling. "My husband left me when I needed him the most." Sarah listened intently, her eyes filled with compassion. "You're stronger than you think, Emily. This is just a chapter in your life, not the whole story. You have the power to write your own ending." Emily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. "But how? I don't even know where to start." "Start by focusing on yourself," Sarah encouraged. "Rediscover what makes you happy. You have a chance to reinvent your life." Those words resonated deeply with Emily. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of possibility. She began to explore her passions, taking art classes and attending workshops. She poured her heart into her creativity, finding joy in the process of self-discovery. As the weeks passed, Emily's health improved, and so did her spirit. She started to envision a future beyond her illness, one where she could thrive and succeed on her own terms. The idea of starting her own business began to take shape in her mind, a dream she had once shelved in the wake of her diagnosis. With Sarah's encouragement, Emily began to research entrepreneurship. She attended seminars and networking events, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. She discovered a passion for fashion design, a long-buried dream that had been overshadowed by her illness. The thought of creating her own clothing line filled her with excitement and purpose. As she immersed herself in her new venture, Emily found herself surrounded by a supportive community of fellow entrepreneurs. They shared their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs, and Emily felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced in years. She was no longer defined by her illness. She was a woman with dreams and aspirations. But as Emily's life began to flourish, David's absence still lingered in the back of her mind. She often wondered how he was doing, if he had found happiness without her. The pain of his departure had transformed into a bittersweet longing, a reminder of the love they once shared. One evening, as Emily was working late in her small studio, she received a message that would change everything. It was an invitation to a charity gala, an event that celebrated local entrepreneurs and their contributions to the community. The gala was known for attracting influential figures, and Emily felt a surge of excitement at the thought of showcasing her designs. As she prepared for the event, Emily felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. This was her chance to shine, to prove to herself and the world that she was more than just a woman who had been abandoned. She poured her heart into her designs, creating a collection that reflected her journey of resilience and strength. The night of the gala arrived, and Emily stepped into the venue, her heart racing. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. She felt a sense of belonging as she mingled with other entrepreneurs, sharing her story and her vision. But as she turned a corner, her breath caught in her throat. There, across the room, stood David. He looked different, older, perhaps a little worn, but the familiar spark in his eyes was unmistakable. Time seemed to freeze as their gazes locked, and Emily felt a rush of emotions flood over her. David was here, in the same space she had fought so hard to reclaim. The memories of their past washed over her, a bittersweet reminder of what had been lost. She felt a mix of anger and longing, a whirlwind of emotions that left her momentarily speechless. As she gathered her thoughts, Emily knew she had a choice to make. Would she confront him, or would she let the moment pass? The decision weighed heavily on her heart, but she felt a surge of determination. She had come too far to let fear dictate her actions. Taking a deep breath, Emily approached David, her heart pounding in her chest. "David," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "It's been a while." He turned to her, surprise etched on his face. "Emily, I didn't expect to see you here." "Neither did I," she replied, her gaze unwavering. "I've been working on my designs. I'm starting my own clothing line." David's expression shifted, a mixture of admiration and regret flickering in his eyes. "That's incredible. I always knew you had talent." "Thank you," she said, her heart racing. "But I'm not here to reminisce. I want to know why you left." The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken emotions. David looked away, his jaw tightening. "I was overwhelmed, Emily. I didn't know how to handle everything. You could have talked to me, she replied, her voice firm. You didn't have to walk away. I know, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. I made a mistake. Emily felt a mix of anger and sadness wash over her. You left when I needed you the most. I had to rebuild my life without you. I see that now, he said, his gaze finally meeting hers. I've been struggling too. I thought leaving would make it easier, but it only made things worse. The vulnerability in his voice caught her off guard. She had expected defensiveness, but instead, she saw a man grappling with his own demons. What do you want from me, David? She asked, her heart racing. I want to apologize, he said, his voice filled with sincerity. I was selfish and I'm sorry for the pain I caused you. Emily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Apologies don't change the past, David. But I appreciate you saying that. As they stood there, the weight of their shared history hung between them. Emily realized that while she had moved on, the scars of their past still lingered. She had fought hard to reclaim her life, and she wasn't about to let David's presence derail her progress. I've changed, she said, her voice steady. I'm not the same woman you left behind. I've found my strength, and I'm building a life for myself. David nodded, a look of admiration crossing his face. I can see that. Oh, happy. I am, she replied, a smile breaking through the tension. I've learned to love myself again. As the evening wore on, Emily and David continued to talk, sharing stories of their journeys since their separation. It was a bittersweet reunion, filled with laughter and tears, but Emily felt a sense of closure she hadn't anticipated. As the gala came to an end, Emily knew she had to make a choice. She could either allow David back into her life or continue on her path of independence. The decision weighed heavily on her heart, but she felt a newfound sense of clarity. David, she said, her voice firm. I appreciate your apology, but I need to focus on my future. I can't go back to what we had. He nodded, understanding in his eyes. I respect that, Emily. I just hope you know that I'm proud of you. With that, they parted ways, and Emily felt a sense of liberation wash over her. She had faced her past and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the future she had fought so hard to create. As she left the gala, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was no longer defined by her illness or her past. She was a woman on a mission, ready to take on the world. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. In the months that followed, Emily poured herself into her business, gaining recognition for her designs and her story. She became a beacon of hope for others who had faced adversity, inspiring them to pursue their dreams despite the odds. David, on the other hand, began to reflect on his choices. He sought therapy to confront his fears and insecurities, determined to become a better person. While he missed Emily, he understood that their paths had diverged for a reason. As Emily's business flourished, she found herself surrounded by a supportive community of fellow entrepreneurs. They celebrated her successes and encouraged her to keep pushing forward. She had built a life filled with love, laughter, and creativity, and she was proud of what she had accomplished. One day, as she prepared for a major fashion show, Emily received a message from David. He wanted to meet for coffee, and while a part of her hesitated, she felt a sense of curiosity. They had both changed, and perhaps it was time to see where their paths might intersect again. As she walked into the cafe, Emily felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. David was already seated at a table, his expression a blend of nervousness and hope. They exchanged pleasantries, and as they talked, Emily could sense the growth in him. I've been working on myself, he admitted, his voice sincere. I want to be a better person not just for myself, but for those around me. Emily nodded, appreciating his honesty. I'm glad to hear that. It's important to take responsibility for our actions. As they continued to talk, Emily felt a sense of camaraderie with David. They shared stories of their journeys, their struggles, and their triumphs. It was a conversation filled with understanding and respect, a stark contrast to their last encounter. I've missed you, David said, his voice softening. I've realized how much I took for granted. Emily felt a warmth spread through her chest. I've missed you too, but I've also learned to stand on my own. I'm proud of who I've become. As they parted ways that day, Emily felt a sense of closure. She had faced her past and emerged stronger, ready to embrace whatever the future held. David had changed, and while their paths may not converge in the same way, she felt a sense of peace knowing that they had both grown. In the months that followed, Emily's business continued to thrive. She was invited to showcase her designs at prestigious events, and her story resonated with many. She became a symbol of resilience, inspiring others to pursue their dreams despite the challenges they faced. David, too, found his footing. He focused on his career, seeking opportunities that aligned with his values. He learned to appreciate the importance of connection and empathy, striving to be a better friend and partner. As time passed, Emily and David maintained a friendship built on mutual respect. They supported each other from afar, celebrating each other's successes and growth. Emily had found her voice, and David had learned the value of vulnerability. One evening, as Emily prepared for another fashion show, she received a message from David. He wanted to attend, and while she felt a flutter of nerves, she also felt excitement. They had both come so far, and this was a chance to celebrate their journeys together. As the show unfolded, Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. The lights, the music, the energy of the crowd, it was everything she had dreamed of. And as she took her final walk down the runway, she spotted David in the audience, his face filled with pride. After the show, they met backstage, and Emily could see the admiration in his eyes. "You were incredible," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It means a lot to have you here." As they stood together, Emily realized that while their romantic relationship had ended, their connection had evolved into something beautiful. They had both grown, and their journeys had intertwined in unexpected ways. In the months that followed, Emily continued to thrive in her business, gaining recognition and respect in the fashion industry. She became a mentor to others, sharing her story and encouraging them to pursue their passions. David, too, found fulfillment in his career. He learned to appreciate the importance of empathy and connection, striving to be a better person in all aspects of his life. As they navigated their separate paths, Emily and David remained supportive of each other. They celebrated milestones together, sharing laughter and memories that reminded them of the love they once had. One day, as Emily reflected on her journey, she realized that she had come full circle. She had faced her fears, embraced her strength, and built a life filled with purpose. The pain of her past had transformed into a source of inspiration, guiding her toward a brighter future. As she stood in her studio, surrounded by her designs, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had learned to love herself again, and in doing so, she had discovered the power of resilience. And as she looked toward the future, she knew that her story was far from over. It was a journey of growth, love, and self-discovery, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. In the end, Emily had not only reclaimed her life but had also become a beacon of hope for others. She had learned that true strength comes from within, and that even in the face of adversity, one can rise above and create a life filled with joy and purpose. As she prepared for her next collection, Emily felt a renewed sense of excitement. She was ready to take on the world, to inspire others, and to continue writing her own story, one filled with love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that anything is possible. And so, with each stitch and every design, Emily embraced her journey, knowing that she had the power to shape her own destiny. The future was bright, and she was ready to shine. As Emily continued to pour her heart into her designs, the fashion industry began to take notice. Her unique perspective, shaped by her journey through illness and recovery, resonated with many. She was invited to showcase her collection at various events, and each time she stepped onto the runway, she felt a surge of empowerment. The night of her first major fashion show was a whirlwind of excitement and nerves. The venue was packed, filled with industry insiders, influencers, and potential buyers. Emily had spent countless hours preparing, ensuring that every detail was perfect. As she stood backstage, her heart raced with anticipation. She could hear the murmurs of the crowd, the music pulsing through the air, and the energy was electric. "Emily, you're going to be amazing," Sarah, her nurse-turned-friend, said, giving her a reassuring smile. "Just remember, this is your moment. Own it." Taking a deep breath, Emily nodded. She had come so far from the woman who had once felt lost and abandoned. This was her time to shine, to show the world what she was capable of. As the lights dimmed and the music began, she stepped onto the runway, her heart pounding in her chest. The moment she emerged, the crowd erupted into applause. Emily felt a rush of adrenaline as she walked confidently down the runway, showcasing her designs. Each piece told a story of resilience, strength, and the beauty of overcoming adversity. She could see the admiration in the audience's eyes, and it fueled her determination. As she reached the end of the runway, she paused, taking a moment to soak in the applause. This was more than just a fashion show, it was a celebration of her journey. She had fought hard to reclaim her life, and now she was sharing that triumph with the world. After the show, Emily was approached by several buyers and influencers, all eager to learn more about her collection. She felt a sense of pride as she spoke passionately about her designs, sharing the inspiration behind each piece. This was what she had dreamed of, building a brand that reflected her values and experiences. In the weeks that followed, Emily's business began to flourish. Orders poured in, and she found herself juggling the demands of running a successful fashion line. It was exhilarating and exhausting, but she thrived on the challenge. She surrounded herself with a team of talented individuals who shared her vision, and together they worked tirelessly to bring her designs to life. Meanwhile, David watched from a distance, feeling a mix of admiration and regret. He had seen the coverage of Emily's fashion show and couldn't help but feel proud of her accomplishments. She had transformed into a force to be reckoned with, and he realized how much he had underestimated her strength. One evening, as he sat in his office, David reflected on his own journey. He had sought therapy to confront his past mistakes and had been working on becoming a better person. He had learned to appreciate the importance of empathy and connection, and he longed to make amends for the pain he had caused Emily. After much contemplation, David decided to reach out to Emily. He wanted to support her, to show her that he had changed. He sent her a message, asking if they could meet for coffee. As he hit send, a wave of anxiety washed over him. Would she be open to seeing him again? Emily received the message with a mix of surprise and apprehension. Part of her was hesitant. She had worked hard to move on from their past. But another part of her felt curious. David had been a significant part of her life, and perhaps it was time to see how he had changed. They agreed to meet at a cozy cafe downtown, a place that held memories of their happier times. As Emily arrived, she felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach. Would this meeting bring closure, or would it reopen old wounds? David was already seated at a table, his expression a blend of nervousness and hope. He looked different, more grounded, perhaps a little older, but the familiar spark in his eyes was unmistakable. As she approached, he stood up, a smile breaking across his face. "Emily," he said, his voice warm. "It's good to see you." "Good to see you too, David," she replied, taking a seat across from him. The atmosphere was charged with unspoken emotions, and Emily felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. "I've been following your journey," David began, his gaze sincere. "You've done incredible things with your fashion line. I'm really proud of you." "Thank you," Emily said, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It's been a lot of hard work, but I'm finally doing what I love." David nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I've been working on myself too. I've realized how much I took for granted, and I want to be a better person." Emily listened intently, sensing the sincerity in his words. "I appreciate that, David. It's important to take responsibility for our actions. I know I hurt you," he continued, his voice filled with remorse. "And I'm truly sorry for how I handled everything. I was selfish, and I didn't know how to cope with the situation." Emily felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. "I've learned to forgive, but it's taken time. I had to focus on my own healing." "I understand," David said, his gaze unwavering. "I just want you to know that I'm here to support you, even if it's from a distance." As they talked, Emily felt a sense of camaraderie with David. They shared stories of their journeys, their struggles, and their triumphs. It was a conversation filled with understanding and respect, a stark contrast to their last encounter. "I've missed you," David admitted, his voice softening. "I've realized how much I took for granted." Emily felt a warmth spread through her chest. "I've missed you too, but I've also learned to stand on my own. I'm proud of who I've become." As they parted ways that day, Emily felt a sense of closure. She had faced her past and emerged stronger, ready to embrace whatever the future held. David had changed, and while their romantic relationship had ended, their connection had evolved into something beautiful. In the months that followed, Emily's business continued to thrive. She was invited to showcase her designs at prestigious events, and her story resonated with many. She became a symbol of resilience, inspiring others to pursue their dreams despite the challenges they faced. David, too, found his footing. He focused on his career, seeking opportunities that aligned with his values. He learned to appreciate the importance of connection and empathy, striving to be a better friend and partner. As they navigated their separate paths, Emily and David remained supportive of each other. They celebrated milestones together, sharing laughter and memories that reminded them of the love they once had. One day, as Emily reflected on her journey, she realized that she had come full circle. She had faced her fears, embraced her strength, and built a life filled with purpose. The pain of her past had transformed into a source of inspiration, guiding her toward a brighter future. As she stood in her studio, surrounded by her designs, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had learned to love herself again, and in doing so, she had discovered the power of resilience. And as she looked toward the future, she knew that her story was far from over. It was a journey of growth, love, and self-discovery, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. In the end, Emily had not only reclaimed her life but had also become a beacon of hope for others. She had learned that true strength comes from within, and that even in the face of adversity, one can rise above and create a life filled with joy and purpose. As she prepared for her next collection, Emily felt a renewed sense of excitement. She was ready to take on the world, to inspire others, and to continue writing her own story, one filled with love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that anything is possible. And so, with each stitch and every design, Emily embraced her journey, knowing that she had the power to shape her own destiny. The future was bright, and she was ready to shine. As the months rolled on, Emily's fashion line gained traction, and her reputation as a designer blossomed. She was invited to participate in fashion weeks across the country, and each event was a new opportunity to showcase her creativity and resilience. The thrill of seeing her designs come to life on the runway was exhilarating, and she felt a sense of fulfillment that she had never experienced before. One evening, after a particularly successful show, Emily returned to her studio, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of the night. The walls were adorned with sketches and fabric swatches, remnants of her hard work and dedication. She took a moment to soak it all in, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. This was her dream, and she was living it. As she settled into her workspace, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Sarah, her friend and mentor. "Hey, Emily. I just heard about a major fashion competition coming up. You should totally enter. It could be a game changer for your brand." Emily's heart raced at the thought. The competition was known for launching the careers of many successful designers, and winning could provide her with invaluable exposure and resources. But the thought of putting herself out there again filled her with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Taking a deep breath, she replied, "I'll think about it. Thanks for the heads up." That night, as she lay in bed, Emily couldn't shake the idea of the competition. She envisioned herself standing on that stage, showcasing her designs to a panel of esteemed judges. The thought ignited a fire within her, and she knew she had to go for it. The next day, she began preparing her application. She spent hours refining her portfolio, selecting her best pieces, and crafting a compelling narrative about her journey. She poured her heart into every detail, determined to convey the essence of her brand and the story behind it. As the deadline approached, Emily felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She shared her plans with David during one of their coffee meetups, and he could see the passion in her eyes. "You have to do this, Emily. You've worked so hard, And you deserve this opportunity, he encouraged. Thanks, David. It's just, what if I don't make it, she admitted, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Then you try again. But you won't know unless you put yourself out there, he replied, his tone firm yet supportive. You've already overcome so much. This is just another step in your journey. With his encouragement ringing in her ears, Emily submitted her application, her heart pounding with anticipation. The waiting period felt like an eternity, but she kept herself busy with her designs and her growing business. She was determined to stay focused, no matter the outcome. Finally, the day arrived when she received the email she had been waiting for. With trembling hands, she opened it, her heart racing. Congratulations! You have been selected as a finalist for the National Fashion Competition. A wave of disbelief washed over her, followed by an overwhelming sense of joy. She had done it. All her hard work had paid off, and now she had the chance to showcase her designs on a national stage. As the competition date approached, Emily immersed herself in preparation. She spent countless hours perfecting her collection, ensuring that each piece reflected her journey and her vision. She wanted to tell a story through her designs, one that would resonate with the judges and the audience. On the day of the competition, Emily arrived at the venue, her heart pounding with excitement and nerves. The atmosphere was electric, filled with anticipation and creativity. She could see other designers bustling around, each one eager to make their mark. As she set up her display, Emily felt a mix of emotions. This was her moment to shine, to prove to herself and the world that she was more than just a woman who had been abandoned. She was a force to be reckoned with, and she was ready to take on the challenge. When it was finally her turn to present, Emily stepped onto the stage, her heart racing. The lights were bright, and the audience was filled with influential figures in the fashion industry. She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. Hello, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm excited to share my collection with you today, she began, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. Each piece represents a chapter of my journey, a journey of resilience, strength, and the power of self-discovery. As she showcased her designs, Emily felt a surge of confidence. She spoke passionately about the inspiration behind each piece, sharing her story of overcoming adversity and finding her voice. The audience was captivated, and she could see their interest growing with each passing moment. When she finished her presentation, the applause was thunderous. Emily felt a rush of exhilaration as she took a bow, her heart swelling with pride. She had poured her soul into this moment, and it had paid off. After the presentations, the judges deliberated, and Emily waited anxiously for the results. She mingled with other designers, sharing stories and laughter, but her mind was racing with anticipation. Would she win? Would her dreams finally come true? Finally, the moment arrived. The host took the stage, and the room fell silent. And the winner of this year's National Fashion Competition is Emily. The crowd erupted into applause, and Emily felt tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. She had done it. All her hard work, all the struggles she had faced, had led her to this moment. She stepped forward to accept her award, her heart overflowing with gratitude. As she stood on stage, holding the trophy, Emily looked out at the audience and saw David beaming with pride. Their eyes met, and in that moment, she felt a sense of connection that transcended their past. They had both grown, and while their romantic relationship had changed, their bond remained strong. After the competition, Emily's life changed in ways she had never imagined. She received offers from major retailers, and her designs were featured in prominent fashion magazines. She was invited to collaborate with established brands, and her story became an inspiration for many. But amidst the whirlwind of success, Emily remained grounded. She continued to focus on her mission, to empower others through her designs and to share her journey of resilience. She started a mentorship program for aspiring designers, offering guidance and support to those who faced challenges similar to her own. David, too, found fulfillment in his career. He had taken steps to become more involved in community service, using his skills to help others. He often thought of Emily and the impact she had made on his life. He was proud of her accomplishments and grateful for the lessons he had learned. As the months passed, Emily and David maintained a friendship built on mutual respect. They supported each other from afar, celebrating each other's successes and growth. Emily had found her voice, and David had learned the value of vulnerability. One day, as Emily prepared for another fashion show, she received a message from David. He wanted to attend, and while she felt a flutter of nerves, she also felt excitement. They had both come so far, and this was a chance to celebrate their journeys together. As the show unfolded, Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. The lights, the music, the energy of the crowd, it was everything she had dreamed of. And as she took her final walk down the runway, she spotted David in the audience, his face filled with pride. After the show, they met backstage, and Emily could see the admiration in his eyes. "You were incredible," he said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It means a lot to have you here." As they stood together, Emily realized that while their romantic relationship had ended, their connection had evolved into something beautiful. They had both grown, and their journeys had intertwined in unexpected ways. In the months that followed, Emily continued to thrive in her business, gaining recognition and respect in the fashion industry. She became a mentor to others, sharing her story and encouraging them to pursue their passions. David, too, found fulfillment in his career. He learned to appreciate the importance of empathy and connection, striving to be a better person in all aspects of his life. As they navigated their separate paths, Emily and David remained supportive of each other. They celebrated milestones together, sharing laughter and memories that reminded them of the love they once had. One day, as Emily reflected on her journey, she realized that she had come full circle. She had faced her fears, embraced her strength, and built a life filled with purpose. The pain of her past had transformed into a source of inspiration, guiding her toward a brighter future. As she stood in her studio, surrounded by her designs, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had learned to love herself again, and in doing so, she had discovered the power of resilience. And as she looked toward the future, she knew that her story was far from over. It was a journey of growth, love, and self-discovery, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. In the end, Emily had not only reclaimed her life but had also become a beacon of hope for others. She had learned that true strength comes from within, and that even in the face of adversity, one can rise above and create a life filled with joy and purpose. As she prepared for her next collection, Emily felt a renewed sense of excitement. She was ready to take on the world, to inspire others, and to continue writing her own story, one filled with love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that anything is possible. And so, with each stitch and every design, Emily embraced her journey, knowing that she had the power to shape her own destiny. The future was bright, and she was ready to shine. As Emily's fashion line continued to flourish, she found herself increasingly involved in the community. She believed in giving back, especially to those who had faced challenges similar to her own. Inspired by her journey, she launched a program called Threads of Hope, aimed at helping aspiring designers from underprivileged backgrounds. The initiative provided mentorship, resources, and scholarships for young creatives who dreamed of making their mark in the fashion industry. The first event for Threads of Hope was a workshop held at a local community center. Emily was filled with excitement and nerves as she prepared to speak to a group of eager young designers. She wanted to share her story, not just as a success story but as a testament to resilience and determination. On the day of the workshop, Emily arrived early to set up. The room was filled with colorful fabric swatches, sewing machines, and eager faces. As the participants trickled in, she felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her. These young people reminded her of herself, full of dreams and aspirations, yet uncertain of how to achieve them. "Welcome, everyone," Emily said, her voice warm and inviting. "I'm so excited to be here with you today. I want to share my journey and hopefully inspire you to pursue your dreams in fashion." As she spoke, Emily shared the highs and lows of her journey, from her struggles with illness to her triumphs in the fashion industry. She emphasized the importance of perseverance and believing in oneself, even when faced with adversity. "I want you to know that your dreams are valid," she said, her eyes scanning the room. No matter where you come from or what challenges you face, you have the power to create your own path. The participants listened intently, their eyes wide with admiration. Emily could see the spark of inspiration igniting within them, and it filled her with joy. She encouraged them to ask questions, to share their own stories, and to connect with one another. Throughout the workshop, Emily guided the participants through hands-on activities, teaching them the basics of design and sewing. She watched as they experimented with fabrics, sketching their ideas and bringing them to life. The energy in the room was palpable, and Emily felt a sense of fulfillment that she had never experienced before. As the workshop came to a close, Emily gathered everyone for a final discussion. "I want you all to remember that this is just the beginning," she said, her voice filled with encouragement. "Keep pushing forward, keep creating, and never lose sight of your dreams." The participants erupted into applause, and Emily felt a rush of emotion. She had created a space for these young designers to thrive, and it was a moment she would cherish forever. In the weeks that followed, Threads of Hope gained momentum. Emily received applications from aspiring designers eager to join the program, and she was thrilled to see the impact it was having on the community. She organized more workshops, bringing in industry professionals to share their expertise and insights. As Emily's reputation grew, she was invited to speak at various events, sharing her story and advocating for diversity and inclusion in the fashion industry. She became a voice for those who had been marginalized, using her platform to raise awareness about the importance of representation. One evening, as she prepared for a speaking engagement at a major fashion conference, Emily received a message from David. He wanted to meet again, and while she felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, she agreed. Their friendship had grown over the months, and she appreciated the support he had offered. When they met at a trendy cafe, Emily could see the changes in David. He seemed more grounded, more aware of the impact of his actions. They talked about their respective journeys, sharing their successes and challenges. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said during our last meeting," David admitted, his gaze sincere. "I want to do more to give back. I've realized how important it is to use my privilege to help others." Emily smiled, feeling a sense of pride in his growth. "That's wonderful, David. There are so many ways to make a difference. You could mentor young professionals in your field or support initiatives that align with your values." "I'd love to get involved with Threads of Hope," he said, his eyes lighting up. "I think it would be a great way to connect with the community and support aspiring designers." Emily felt a rush of excitement at the idea. "That would be amazing. Your experience in business could provide valuable insights for the participants." As they continued to talk, Emily felt a sense of camaraderie with David. They had both grown, and their journeys had intertwined in unexpected ways. While their romantic relationship had ended, their connection had evolved into something meaningful. In the months that followed, David became actively involved in Threads of Hope. He attended workshops, offered mentorship, and shared his expertise with the young designers. Emily watched as he connected with the participants, offering guidance and encouragement. It was heartwarming to see him embrace this new role, and she felt grateful for the positive impact he was making. As the program flourished, Emily and David's friendship deepened. They celebrated each other's successes, shared laughter, and supported one another through challenges. Emily appreciated David's presence in her life, and she could see the changes he had made. One day, as they were preparing for a major fashion showcase for Threads of Hope, Emily received a call from a prominent fashion magazine. They wanted to feature her story and the impact of her program in an upcoming issue. Emily was thrilled, but she also felt a wave of nerves. This was a significant opportunity, and she wanted to ensure that her message resonated. As she prepared for the interview, Emily reflected on her journey. She had faced so much adversity, but she had emerged stronger and more determined than ever. She wanted to convey the importance of resilience and the power of community support. When the day of the interview arrived, Emily felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She sat down with the journalist, ready to share her story. As they talked, she spoke passionately about her journey, the challenges she had faced, and the impact of Threads of Hope. "I believe that fashion has the power to inspire change," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "It's not just about clothing, It's about telling stories and empowering others to embrace their uniqueness. The journalist nodded, captivated by Emily's passion. Your story is incredibly inspiring. What advice would you give to those who are facing their own challenges? Emily paused, reflecting on her experiences. I would tell them to never give up. Life will throw obstacles in your way, but it's how you respond that defines your journey. Surround yourself with supportive people, believe in yourself, and keep pushing forward. As the interview concluded, Emily felt a sense of fulfillment. She had shared her story authentically, and she hoped it would resonate with others who faced similar struggles. In the weeks that followed, the magazine article was published, and Emily's story reached a wider audience. She received messages from people all over the country, sharing their own journeys and expressing gratitude for her inspiration. It was a humbling experience, and Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. As threads of hope continued to grow, Emily organized a fashion show to showcase the designs of the young participants. It was a celebration of creativity, resilience, and community, and she was determined to make it a memorable event. On the day of the show, the atmosphere was electric. The venue was filled with friends, family, and industry professionals, all eager to support the aspiring designers. Emily felt a rush of excitement as she watched the participants prepare backstage, their faces filled with anticipation. As the show began, Emily took a moment to soak it all in. The lights, the music, the energy of the crowd, it was everything she had dreamed of. She felt a sense of pride as she watched the young designers showcase their creations, each piece reflecting their unique stories and journeys. When the final model walked down the runway, the audience erupted into applause. Emily felt tears of joy welling in her eyes as she took the stage to address the crowd. Thank you all for being here to support these incredible young designers. Their stories are a testament to the power of resilience and creativity. As she spoke, Emily felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. She had created a space for these young talents to shine, and it was a moment she would cherish forever. After the show, Emily mingled with the guests, celebrating the success of the event. She felt a sense of camaraderie with the participants, knowing that they had all played a part in creating something beautiful. As the night came to a close, Emily spotted David across the room. He was engaged in conversation with one of the participants, offering encouragement and support. She felt a warmth in her heart, grateful for the positive impact he had made in their lives. Later that evening, as the guests began to leave, Emily and David found a quiet moment together. "You were amazing tonight," he said, his eyes filled with admiration. "You've created something truly special." "Thank you, David. I couldn't have done it without your support," she replied, feeling a sense of gratitude for his presence in her life. As they stood together, Emily realized that while their romantic relationship had changed, their connection had evolved into something meaningful. They had both grown, and their journeys had intertwined in unexpected ways. In the months that followed, Emily continued to thrive in her business, gaining recognition and respect in the fashion industry. She became a mentor to others, sharing her story and encouraging them to pursue their passions. David, too, found fulfillment in his career. He learned to appreciate the importance of empathy and connection, striving to be a better person in all aspects of his life. As they navigated their separate paths, Emily and David remained supportive of each other. They celebrated milestones together, sharing laughter and memories that reminded them of the love they once had. One day, as Emily reflected on her journey, she realized that she had come full circle. She had faced her fears, embraced her strength, and built a life filled with purpose. The pain of her past had transformed into a source of inspiration, guiding her toward a brighter future. As she stood in her studio, surrounded by her designs, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had learned to love herself again, and in doing so, she had discovered the power of resilience. And as she looked toward the future, she knew that her story was far from over. It was a journey of growth, love, and self-discovery, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. In the end, Emily had not only reclaimed her life but had also become a beacon of hope for others. She had learned that true strength comes from within, and that even in the face of adversity, one can rise above and create a life filled with joy and purpose. As she prepared for her next collection, Emily felt a renewed sense of excitement. She was ready to take on the world, to inspire others, and to continue writing her own story, one filled with love, resilience, and the unwavering belief that anything is possible. And so, with each stitch and every design, Emily embraced her journey, knowing that she had the power to shape her own destiny. The future was bright, and she was ready to shine.